Poland's economy has grown like crazy over the past 20 years to become the 7th largest in Europe. By making big changes in laws and social norms and bringing in significant foreign investment, Poland's managed to create a strong, stable economy that's boosted their trade massively and are above the EU average for a number of factors. Poland's been seeing such insane growth rates that they've tripled the size of their economy in just 30 years, and the last 2 decades have probably been their best ever. GDP per capita more than doubled since 1989, beating out all their European neighbours. They're almost breaking world records for 23 straight years of growth, and were the only EU country that didn't go into recession in 2008. They've achieved some truly incredible growth based on the amazing talents and drive of its people. Powered by brainpower, entrepreneurial spirit, and good old-fashioned grit, Poland's seen their economy surge in the last 2 decades without relying on natural riches or financial tricks. As a net energy importer with debt levels lower than most of Europe, Poland proves that determination and diligence are the real keys to success. And best of all, as prosperity increased, everyone's benefited. While inequality grew after transitioning to capitalism, Poland has narrowed the gap and achieved a fair distribution of wealth close to the European average. This country is living proof that growth can lift all boats through nothing more than the dedication and ingenuity of its citizens. Way to go, Poland! So what exactly is the recipe of their success? First off, Polish policymakers appear to have known from the start that their country would integrate into Europe, and in the process they embraced Western institutions, laws and social norms, such as the free press, democracy, independent monetary policy and rule of law, which are the cornerstones of sound economic development. They also increased both the amount and quality of schooling. Compared to just 1 out of 10 in 1989, every second young person studies at a university today, above the EU average. Polish youth have a good education despite the country's comparatively low spending on education. The OECD research found that Polish 15-year-olds are more functionally literate than their counterparts in much of Western Europe and North America. Poland also benefited from significant inflows of EU funds, which allowed them to build highways connecting to Western Europe for the first time, increase business climate, with Poland leading the EU and OECD in the pace of reforms, and strong management and prudent risk profile, which have maintained a robust banking sector. All these factors are important, but there is one super important factor that so many countries today struggle with, and that is market structure. They've implemented market-oriented changes earlier compared to countries next door. This contributed to a growth in the private sector and helped the nation exit the post-transition recession ahead of other nations in 1992. Poland joined the OECD in 1997 as a result of its rapid institutional creation in response to the early market reforms. Most importantly, they handled the privatization process in a clear and generally efficient manner. Today, there are no Polish oligarchs. Last but not least, Poland profited from a sizable and quickly expanding internal market that served to buffer them from outside shocks like those that struck in 2008-2009. Which makes us believe that Poland is really unique compared to its neighbours. Actually, compared to the Western neighbours, it's one of a kind. Let me tell you why. A few years ago, Europe's economy was experiencing a period of revitalization. The average GDP dynamics in the EU from 2015 to 2018 topped 2%. But Poland and others like Romania and the Czech Republic all increased by over 5% in 2018. Better late than never. This isn't the only thing that makes Poland unique. Here's one more feature of uniqueness. In all of the region's countries, the unemployment rate was lower at the start of 2019 than it was at the beginning of 2016. Also, VAT revenues have gone up. A favourable labour market environment fueled rising rates of economic activity. From 2015 to 2018, Poland was the highest in terms of labour market outcomes. So as you've seen, there are so many factors behind Poland's miracle. How exactly does this success present itself? Before we go into it, if you like this video so far, please consider liking and subscribing to the channel. The first consideration we should mention is macroeconomic stability. Being the only nation in Europe to escape the financial crisis, Poland's public finances are in better shape than the EU average when it comes to debt-to-GDP ratio, making them an excellent choice for your investment. The country's economic stability and predictability present the chance for long-term investment planning. The Polish economy expanded at a pace of 4% in 2019, which is significantly greater than the average growth rates for the Eurozone and the entire European Union. The global coronavirus epidemic dealt a blow to the Polish economy in 2020, but the country bounced back quickly, with similar GDP growth to before. The Polish economy is still being restructured, having begun in 1989, and is becoming more and more intertwined with the global economy. Establishing strong foundations for business development and entrepreneurship is a top priority for the Polish government, as Polish enterprises and products play a big role in the production chains of Europe. By making sure that business is conducted in a transparent and predictable manner, this difficult goal is being accomplished. But you know what's more crazy? The foreign trade turnover. In 2019, the volume of Polish goods traded internationally hit a record high once more. The amount of exports was €235 billion and €234 billion in imports. Although to a much lesser extent than most other countries, Poland's economy was negatively impacted by the global economic collapse brought on by the coronavirus pandemic in 2020. At the end of 2020, exports totaled €237.5 billion, which is a decrease of 0.27%, while imports saw a decrease of 4.83%. The economy's quick recovery later in the year is encouraging for the upcoming years. So success and growth and butterflies everywhere. What about challenges that can bring everything down? Poland is at a big turning point now in how much they grow. The choices they make today will either keep Poland's remarkable economic growth streak popping, or, on the flip, cause them to slow its roll. So what are the main challenges? First and foremost, productivity. Due in part to sectoral productivity gaps of up to 55% and the overrepresentation of low productivity sectors in GDP, Poland's economy is among the least productive in the EU. The sectors most in need of improvement are energy, agriculture, and industrial production. What? Least productive in Europe? That shouldn't be true. Well, unfortunately, it is. Here's why. The dramatic shifts in politics and society that occurred in the early 1990s marked the beginning of the fast growth, which has since slowed. Around 25% of Poland's GDP is accounted for by low productivity sectors. So, this low productivity takes us to challenge number 2, investment. Poland has a comparatively low GDP share, or put another way, a low percentage of investment in tangible assets like buildings and machines, which typically make me think about economic growth. While some next-door countries have lower share of investment, such as Hungary and Romania and other countries in the Eastern Bloc, European nations like France, Switzerland, Belgium, and the Scandinavian nations have far higher rates. Now, besides bad performance in terms of investment and productivity, there is another super important challenge: energy transformation. Clean energy innovations have the potential to play a significant role in Poland's technical advancement, a country that has experienced tremendous economic growth in recent decades due primarily to technological advancements. That would have to be a component of a larger strategy to shift the nation off fossil fuels and align the country's energy strategy with globally agreed upon goals, such as the Paris Agreement. In the energy mix, Poland's proportion of energy from carbon-emitting sources decreased from 97% in the early 1990s to 79% in 2022. But the majority of the nation's power still comes from coal-powered power plants, which continue to play a significant role in the nation's energy security. Poland had electricity shortages as a result of the conflict in Ukraine, just as the rest of Europe. Are we done with the challenges? Not really. We have one more key challenge that almost half of this planet is dealing with, and that is labour market performance. Poland will need to maintain a strong talent pool for the labour market in order to maintain economic growth. This can be made sure of by enhancing education, increasing work skill training targeted at future vocations, and drawing in talent with these skills. They have a lower unemployment rate than the rest of Europe, but the country's ageing population is declining at the same time. The labour pool will drop to 20 million by 2050 because of the population decline, despite the fact that there are currently more workers than there were at the start of the market economy era. Don't believe me? Here are some numbers. 27 million working-age individuals in 2023 to 25 million in 1990. They are also one of the countries with the highest discrimination between men and women in the labour market. In terms of women participation in the labour market, the gender gap has increased in Poland more than it did in Lithuania and Czech Republic. The retirement age in Poland was recently lowered to 60 for women and 65 for men, which sets them apart from most other countries in the region, whereas their society's age, the retirement age has gradually increased. For example, in Lithuania, the Czech Republic, and Hungary, it is 65 for both sexes. So now, a very important question that you may ask: what should Poland do in the near future to maintain and sustain its growth? Poland is ranked in the bottom 10 of the European Economic Area countries in all 6 dimensions of governance measured by the World Bank's governance indicators. The only categories that have improved since 2003 are control of corruption and regulatory quality. Therefore, improving Poland's international image will be a critical component of Poland's future development. Poland's bad reputation among other European nations can be partly attributed to its previous populist law and justice party-led administration, which was viewed as far-right and illiberal by other EU members. This is mostly because of worries about government overreach, including modifications to media regulations and the courts, which were thought to jeopardize democratic ideals. Tensions and discussions about the European Union's commitment to common democratic norms arose as a result of these perceived changes. Poland is without a doubt the clear victor of the preceding age. Looking ahead, Poland's economy has tripled since the start of the era and is growing at one of the quickest rates in the world. Poland must confront both international and domestic obstacles in order to maintain its current growth trajectory. Key decisions made today will determine whether Poland raises its aspirations and maintains its above-average economic performance. Thanks for watching till the end. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to hit the like and subscribe buttons to receive more content. See you in the next video.